One of the most damaging, misleading tropes there is: the tortured, misanthropic genius. I've seen this archetype play out many times before. One of the things I like the most about this archetype is that their special ability or intelligence is often the main intersection between the character's worst moments and what excuses them from consequences or catastrophe most of the time. Gregory House. Dr. House's insight is what pushes him into isolating himself. While his intelligence lets him solve impossible medical cases, its blessing also comes with an equal curse. His belief that everybody lies feeds his cynical nature. To House, the idea that someone's politeness is a cover-up for a dark truth is obvious. While in real life a jaded attitude would be a burden, it actually makes House a better doctor. For example, in Season 1, Episode 4, Maternity, the hospital has a mysterious illness spread among babies in its maternity ward. The team is baffled as no single explanation seems to fit all the symptoms. House has the neonatal unit shut down, convinced one of the staff is at fault for poor hygiene practices, and this deduction turns out to be true. The episode shows us that House's misanthropy is functional, and his refusal to exempt anyone, even colleagues, from being considered suspects to his cynical worldview allows him to solve the case in a way other, more optimistic doctors wouldn't have been able to. Rick Sanchez. Rick Sanchez's intelligence, while more sci-fi than grounded in real-world academia, is also fueled by his inability to get over loss. His greatest invention, interdimensional travel, the trademark of Rick and Morty, is only created due to his obsession with revenge and refusal to let go of his hatred for an alternate version of himself that took his wife from him. In his failure to find Rick Prime, he prescribes himself a nihilistic worldview, among other substances, that robs and often refuses to assign meaning to anything. In some ways, he's so detached from special connection that he shows that even his own family, Beth, Jerry, and Summer, are replaceable. When things go wrong, he can simply jump to a reality where things are mostly the same, rather than committing to the version of his daughter and family that he's currently with. In fact, throughout the story, he does trade out every part of the main cast except for his grandson Morty, who he remains with through the show, but not because of sentiment, but because Morty is from the same reality as Rick Prime, and Rick sees Morty as a potential path to exacting his revenge eventually. Yeah, Portal, get to the point, we know this. Okay, give me a second, I'm getting there. Actually, does anyone ever tell you your attention span sucks? Seriously, it's that damn phone you're always on. In fact, I should make a video about... Yeah? Sure, I'll check my analytics. Never mind. Scroll as you wish. Anyways, avoiding consequences. With House and Rick, while their intelligence is in some way the birthplace of their flaws, it also shields them from the consequences of their bad actions. In House, his disrespectful conduct, sometimes crossing both personal and legal boundaries, could easily get him banned for malpractice as a diagnostician. But what saves him is that he's the only one who can do what he does: solve the cases that show up at his doorstep, sometimes from across the world. At that point, removing him from his position turns into a dilemma where you either let him do bad things sometimes, or indirectly kill every patient that'll need his help in the future. In Rick's case, his careless and irreverent approach to the multiverse garners him enemies from all over. The saving grace from their collective wrath is that as long as the threat isn't internal strife or existential dread, he's perfectly capable of dealing with any threat to him. He's the smartest being in whatever universe he finds himself in, and even if things do go wrong, he always has the option of bailing on his current reality and setting up in another. My problem. Ironically, what I like most about this archetype is also my biggest problem with it. With most other character tropes, the subtextual meanings aren't too tough to figure out. With tropes like the beta male, trickster, or sage, the main takeaways are usually face your insecurities and stop trying to control what you can. Be free to question conventional beliefs while thinking for yourself, and be patient and humble enough to be a lifelong student. Let me know what you think if you disagree, but I'm not sure the people who should benefit from this archetype are being helped by it. Similar to Tyler Durden or Patrick Bateman, who are more so meant to satirize the disposition and serve as cautionary tales, the tortured genius might be inspiring antisocial behavior and superiority complexes rather than the opposite. While Rick and House can do whatever they want and be free of consequences because their god complexes are a little more god than complex, I mean, Think about it. Who wouldn't want to be so brilliant that your worst flaws are reframed as side effects of greatness? The truth is that in real life, you will never be so good at something that burning a bridge with you causes more problems than it solves. If you're anywhere near as dysfunctional as the characters from this archetype, the work and effort it takes to cultivate a level of mastery to become that achieved in anything will nearly always require that you're able to work with others and deal with your internal issues. Truthfully, almost none of you can make something of yourselves without the support system necessary to be healthy enough to function professionally and interpersonally. If you think you're the exception, I'm talking to you. What I like. With that said, as much as there are problems with this trope's execution, I see a lot to appreciate as well. This trope proves that perfectionism is the downfall of the genius we idolize, not its source. You'd think that in any endeavor, endless, meticulous deliberating to ensure any attempt is perfect would be the way to go. I love that this trope, and specifically Rick Sanchez and Dr. House, completely wave that notion off. We constantly see them both mess up, get things wrong, but they quickly own up to their misfires and improvise to make improvements and adapt to their situation. I'd say that true genius is shown in these moments instead. Anyone can study, absorb information, and develop encyclopedic knowledge with what they put their attention to. But it's that mental flexibility, emotional regulation, and growth mindset to approach failure and rejection smoothly where genius shines through. For example, in that episode of House I referenced earlier, Eternity, House believes that the epidemic affecting the babies is an infection. He actually sacrifices the life of one of the infants to prove that a specific antibiotic medicine is the answer. But soon afterwards, he's told that the antibiotic he staked a life on was the wrong answer. In that moment, he doesn't crumble or waste time shitting on himself for that massive mistake he just made. He starts considering alternatives and using what they learned from his mistake to confirm another answer, that the babies were affected by viruses, not infections. In fact, he even performs an autopsy on the infant he risked that same day to learn everything he can to form an improved answer to the puzzle. Had he been slow, allowed himself to falter into self-centered condemnation, he might have lost more lives in the process. I'd say the same applies with Rick and Morty. If Morty's mind blowers don't make it obvious enough, it should be apparent that Rick messes up his inventions, makes both small and big mistakes all the time. But as we see here, neither of these characters' genius status is tarnished by their mess-ups. If anything, it creates more opportunities for them to learn and improve, because the truth is that the difference between a master and novice is that the master has failed more than the novice has even tried. Even if the difference is that the master might have to pop some Vicodin and erase the novice's memory whenever he makes a particularly embarrassing mistake. But what do I know? I'm just a voice on the internet.